Ever get that feeling like you really need to switch things up with what you're doing online?
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe your Instagram feed just doesn't feel like you anymore, or, you've got this entirely new thing you're excited about?
Yeah, and if that's you, you probably hit that wall or that big question.
Hmm.
Do I, like, nuke the whole account and start totally fresh?
Or do you try and bring your existing audience along for the ride? That's tough.
It's a massive dilemma. I mean, you talk to creators, individuals, it comes up all the time. And you can see why it stops people in their tracks.
Hmm.
You've put in the work, the time, the energy, building something.
Yeah.
And the thought of just walking away from that, it feels like losing so much progress.
Totally. Well, today we're going to dive into some really interesting advice on this, and it's straight from the top. Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram.
Okay. From Mussery himself.
Yeah, there's this piece on social media today. It just came out May 15th, 2025, and it really gets into his guidance on how you handle that kind of content shift.
Without completely tanking your engagement and reach.
Exactly. That's the key, isn't it?
It really is. So our mission for this deep dive, I guess, is to go a bit further than just saying Mo Suri said this.
Right.
We want to try and unpack the why, what's the reasoning there, and pull out stuff that's actually useful for you if you're sitting there thinking about changing up your Instagram game.
Okay, let's get into it then. So, the big one, the main piece of advice from Mosseri, the headline, really,
Yeah.
is that most of the time you're probably better off sticking with the account you already have.
Right. Even if it's a pretty big change in what you're going to post about.
Exactly. Even for a significant evolution.
Okay. And his logic behind that, what's the thinking?
Well, it really boils down to how Instagram's system, the algorithm and everything, actually works.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, Instagram builds up this profile of your account. What you post, sure, but also who engages with it, who seems interested.
And what their interests are, based on everything else they do on the platform.
Precisely.
Hmm.
And if you start a brand new account, poof, all that information is just gone.
You're basically throwing away the instruction manual you've been building for the algorithm.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, think about the signals Instagram uses. Who likes your stuff consistently? Who comments, shares, saves? Even what other accounts those people follow, the keywords in your captions. It all helps Instagram figure out who to show your stuff to.
Right.
Start fresh. You lose all those super valuable signals. Instagram has to kind of relearn everything about you from square one.
And that takes time.
A lot of time. And it can seriously limit how many people see your posts initially.
So it's like the algorithm has this detailed map connecting you to your audience.
Yeah.
And starting over just wipes the map clean. You're just wandering around.
Exactly. And Masuri's point is this isn't just potentially bad for you and your engagement.
It's also not great for Instagram either.
Right. Because their whole goal is showing people stuff they'll actually like and interact with.
Keep people scrolling.
Keep people engaged, yeah. And your account's history. That's a strong signal of relevance. Start new. And the system just doesn't have many clues to go on.
Okay, so if the main advice is stick with what you've got, what does Mosseri actually suggest you do to make that transition work? The article mentioned some tactics.
Yeah, he laid out a few pretty practical things. First one's kind of obvious, maybe, but important.
Yeah.
Announce the change.
Tell people what's happening.
Yeah, he specifically said maybe post a video. Let your current followers know what's coming, what the shift is about. Give them a heads up.
Manage those expectations.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Nobody wants to log on one day and be like, wait, what is this? It's jarring.
Totally. It's like if your favorite coffee shop suddenly only sold, I don't know, tires, you'd be confused.
Yeah, definitely.
Being transparent can actually help you keep followers who might still be interested, even if the topic changes a bit. They might be interested in you.
True. Okay, so announce it. What else?
The second tactic he brought up was considering archiving your older content.
Archiving. Okay, so it's not deleted, but it's hidden from your main profile grid.
That's right. Still there if you need it, but not front and center.
And the reason for that is?
Basically to avoid confusion, especially for, say, new people who find you because of your new content focus.
Ah.
But if they land on your profile and the first 9 posts are about something completely different.
They might not click. They might just bounce.
Exactly. It could be off-putting or just unclear what your account is actually about now. Archiving helps make your profile reflect your current strategy. A clean first impression.
Okay, that's smart. A way to kind of curate your history without deleting it. What was the third thing? Something about reels.
Yeah, trial reels. This was interesting.
Trial reels. Sounds like experimenting.
That's the idea. He suggests using Reels, short-form video, to test out your new content ideas before you go all in.
Okay.
It's like a lower stakes way to see if people are actually interested, get some feedback.
So you don't have to, like, commit your whole feed straight away.
Right? Think of it like a built-in focus group. You can try stuff out, see what lands, what gets engagement.
Without the pressure of a massive pivot overnight.
Exactly. You can experiment with different angles, different styles related to the new direction.
Kind of dipping a toe in the water.
Precisely. Check the temperature before you jump in. And it does two things. One, you see if your current audience is receptive. And two, it starts feeding Instagram new data points about what your account is evolving towards. Helps them figure out who else might be interested down the line.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But Mosseri did mention a situation where maybe starting fresh is the better call. He called it a really hard pivot.
Yeah, he did carve out an exception there.
What qualifies as really hard, though?
Well, he's talking about cases where the new content is just fundamentally different, like really different from the old stuff.
So different that the audiences probably don't overlap much at all.
Exactly. The example you gave earlier works like someone huge in competitive gaming suddenly switching entirely to, what was it, 19th century French poetry analysis?
Yeah, something like that. Pretty niche shift.
Very niche shift. The crossover audience there is likely minimal.
Okay, so in that kind of extreme case, maybe a new account makes sense.
Right.
But even then, the article said Mosseri urged caution.
He did. Big time.
Yeah.
Even while saying, okay, maybe in this specific case, he immediately followed up with, like, a warning.
Saying what?
Basically reminding people that starting from zero is always hard, really hard, especially for engagement and getting seen.
You lose all that momentum.
All of it. You're back to square one trying to attract eyeballs.
Which kind of loops back to something else the article mentioned, how often creators ask him about stats, right? Engagement, reach.
Oh, yeah. That's clearly top of mind for people. They want to know, if I change my content, what happens to my numbers?
Understand.
Absolutely. And his advice is really shaped around trying to minimize any negative hit to those key metrics. Preserve that momentum, which, yeah, mostly means engagement. Likes, comments, shares, saves. All those signals that tell Instagram your stuff is worth showing around.
And this all connects back to the algorithm again, doesn't it? New accounts just don't have that history for the algorithm to work with.
Exactly right. A new account is basically an unknown quantity to the system.
Blank slate.
Blank slate. It needs time, it needs consistent posting for the algorithm to gather enough clues to figure out, okay, what is this account about and who might like this?
And that initial phase can be slow going.
Often very slow, yeah. Lower reach, lower engagement compared to an established account. Which is why, if building an audience is your main goal, Masa Graveri generally steers people away from starting over.
Because the system needs those signals.
Yep.
The topics you post about, hashtags, who follows you, who interacts.
Yeah, and even what those people interact with elsewhere, it's all part of how it classifies you and tries to make those connections.
It's important to say, though, and the article mentions this, it's not like there's one single answer that fits everyone, right?
Definitely not. Mosseri himself acknowledges there's a range of variables at play.
And sometimes new accounts do take off quickly.
It happens. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they hit a super specific niche that's really active, or, the person already has a huge following elsewhere they can funnel over.
Right, cross-promotion.
Yeah. But Mosseri's advice is more like general guidance based on how Instagram sees things working for most people most of the time.
Okay, so let's try and boil this down. The main takeaway for someone listening, someone maybe thinking about this right now.
Yeah.
For most people, most situations where you want to evolve your content on Instagram, the advice from the top is try to transition your existing account.
That's the core message. The aim is to hang on to that engagement you've built and use the fact that Instagram already kind of knows your audience.
And use those tactics Mosseri mentioned.
Exactly. Announce the change, think about archiving old stuff, and definitely use Reels to test the waters. Those are your tools for making the switch smoother.
It really makes you think, though, doesn't it? How these platforms, the algorithms, they don't just decide who sees your stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of subtly nudge the direction of your online identity, too. I mean, what does it actually mean to just throw away your account history like that?
That's a deep question.
Right. And when, if ever, do the benefits of that totally fresh start, that clean slate, when do they actually outweigh all the challenges of starting from scratch again?
That's definitely something to chew on long after we're done here. A really interesting thought.